sleep. Why would they? I mean, I was scared and I was nervous, and you know, I didn't know. Again, my anxiety kicked in. But yeah, there was even my dad and my mom, they were like, well, you know, if you want to come back, you can always stay here, but, you know, so, I mean, but ultimately the but was Daniel, you know, it's not
right,
not going to work.
Everybody. Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. Okay. And all right, so tell me more about your position then at Challenge Academy.
Okay. So I am now the academic supervisor. When I started, I was just a general instructor, GED credit recovery split, females only. We separate the males and females as it is a residential facility. After 4 years of working, I was promoted to academic supervisor. And I basically enroll students in Infinite Campus, I disenroll them in Infinite Campus, I import all their records academically, and I talk to the schools to figure out what classes are going to align with what we offer through our online learning program.
And so to do that, do you have to sort of counsel the students in terms of
in
what
a sense, a lot of times too, because our program doesn't offer high school diplomas, a lot of times the kids are sent there because they have juvenile charges or maybe they just need some structure and discipline in their life, so parents are like, hell, you're going. And then maybe, again, credit recovery, they're just behind in school, and maybe that school district doesn't have an alternative placement, something of that nature. So we're kind of second option. They also have these things called fair team meetings where they talk about these juveniles and the juvenile charges, and we get a lot of influx and applications that way as well.
Where do they come from? Like all around?
All over the state. We get some we have some this time from over in Bristol, Virginia. We've had them from Harrogate, Tennessee before. We've had one come from Michigan when we first started.
So a lot of them aren't having like visitors.
No, and they're not allowed to have visits.
The whole time?
The whole time. They get 3 family visits. They get 1 day for about 3 or 4 hours, and Mr. French, he'll actually be in here at 4 o'clock-ish. He can tell you a little bit more because he's my direct supervisor. They get one the following month for another couple hours. They actually can go off-site and go out and eat if they want to. The first time they don't. And then the third visit is an actual home visit for about 2 or 3 days.
How many students are like from this community?
Just Harlan alone? Right now we have 5.
Like just a small percentage then.
And we used to not get that many at all. I remember quite a few cycles, and our cycles is every 22 weeks. So there's been quite a few cycles where we didn't have a single kid from Harlan. We were kind of the black sheep in the eyes of the Kentucky Department of Education for a long time because we were ultimately taking kids out of the school systems in their counties. So they were losing what was called SEEK funding. Do you know what that is? It's funding that goes to the schools from the state for enrollment. So when they're enrolled, they get.
Why is it called SEEK? I was like trying to think, why is it called that?
I don't really know why it's called SEEK.
Student enrollment something.
Educational enrollment. I don't know. But it's an acronym of some sort. But over the past few years, we've developed a pretty good relationship with some of these neighboring schools, and it's not, we've not been as, I guess, frowned upon as we once were.
So can the schools around here use you as an alternative setting? Or
sometimes. It depends on the situation and the kid. A lot of times the schools aren't necessarily aware of charges the kids get unless the school directly files them. Hi, Seth. The what?
This light.
The light is out or on? Out? Well, we kind of need it. I can turn it off when I leave. Thank
Sorry,
you.
kiddo.
Sorry, I got a little bit off track.
I did too.
I was just trying to make sure I understand before I ask really stupid questions.
There's no stupid questions.
About the work that you're doing. So, tell me, what impact is the Academy having, you think, on this community?
Initially, when we opened, there was a lot of, I don't use the word hate. I think that's too harsh of a word, but a lot of confusion and negative ideas of what we were and what we were doing. Because originally what had happened is a lot of the people from the National Guard came in and just up and took over Old Hall School and the community and started revamping the building. Because like I said previously, Hall had eventually shut down as well.
They didn't communicate what they were really doing.
Right. And it was all, it's not really a need to know basis, but I mean, if anybody come up and asked, they would tell them. But there was rumors that there were snipers on the building, and they were sniping in the community of Gray's Knob, and I remember looking on topics and just seeing.
I should remember to look at topics for all these places I'm going. I'm on there.
Topics. Whenever they were posting about that, and I was like, oh Lord, this is that place. I didn't know it was called the Appalachian Challenge Academy. I was just told it was a residential school for military. I don't remember exactly what it was. And they started saying it was a boot camp for the bad kids, and so we were going to have criminals and convicts and
prison for kids.
Yes, and that's not at all what it was. Initially, me going in, that's about what I thought it was, because that's pretty much what I've been led to believe. That social construction of reality there. And once I got in, yes, there is a lot of military standard to it. But that's where that structure and discipline came in that these kids may not have gotten at home. And yes, we do get a lot of kids that have been involved in gangs before. But the thing with gangs is that they make you feel like you're a part of a family. So if you don't have a family at home, where are you going to go? Broken homes, a lot of these cadre who are youth workers that are with the kids, all day, come to be like their moms and dads or their big brothers and big sisters. But it wasn't the grand thing it is now, I'll tell you that, back then.
So tell me about how it's seen as a grand thing now.
I feel like, and it may not be just in Harlan, but in Appalachia, because of the poverty that is here, a lot of schools sometimes will refer and say, well, it's a safe place to go. I always preach a safe place, There's shelter, there's free food, you can get your education there, all that. I think it's a great thing because I take pride in it. Again, I guess that's the Appalachian in me. I don't know. Take pride in something that you helped build. When it first opened, I was laying tile, I was hanging ceiling tile, track for ceiling tile, because they were still revamping the building. Things would happen, they couldn't,
Literally there from the ground up.
Painting, Lord, I hate painting to this day. So much painting. But just seeing it evolve and being able to communicate that to these fair teams and Operation Unite and people like that, and they see it as a asset. Ultimately, our goal is to reclaim the lives of 16 to 18-year-olds and make them productive citizens in society. What that may be, it may be, that they do go to college. They do vocational work, and so they get a job as a welder somewhere. They're providing for their family. Everybody has a different idea of success. It's all in what you make it.
And how have local people, at least, or you were saying in the bigger region, which is also fine, how do people get that information about the good it's doing?
We run a Facebook page, so we have social media outlets. We have a monthly newsletter as well that we put out. A lot of our previous mentors are on that page, so they can distribute out. A lot of our court-designated workers are on that. For the first couple cycles, again, because we had a negative press just because of what people thought it was, we were asked as staff members between cycles, what we call cycle break, to go out and promote the academy. So we put out flyers, we put out PSAs of different kinds. Dr. Dubin, he runs a television segment in Middlesboro. I can't remember what it's called. We've been on that 2 or 3 times, and so that airs in Middlesboro.
So you're doing that kind of PR for yourselves.
And then, of course, the Adjutant General of Kentucky, he puts out to his National Guard recruiters and I don't really know their tags because,
It's okay. I won't be putting